At my billionaire father's funeral, my fiancé knelt on one knee and proposed to my stepsister. I wanted to rush over and punch them both. My stepmother, however, blocked my path, holding up the will. Your father, on his deathbed, disowned you. All of the Jiang family's estate is to be left to your sister. Before I could even take off my mourning attire, I was kicked out of the house. From then on, my stepsister became the new billionaire of Viridian City, while I, the former billionaire's own daughter, vanished without a trace. 5 years later, I became the queen of the cage. It was time for Viridian City's female billionaire to be replaced. My return to Viridian City was for a high-end charity auction. Luna? Marcus flung off Celeste, who was intimately clinging to his arm, and rushed towards me in a few strides. I didn't answer, intending to turn and leave. He hastily grabbed my wrist. I sidestepped, my wrist deftly twisting to pin his own. A sharp click of bone echoed, and he groaned in pain, his eyes reddening. He looked at me in disbelief. The delicate young lady who couldn't even open a bottle cap 5 years ago could now dislocate his wrist barehanded. I looked at him calmly. Marcus, my apologies. It's a professional habit. I don't like being touched by strangers. His gaze, as he scrutinized me, was filled with complex emotions. I was no longer a socialite dressed in designer clothes, but a security guard with a scar on my face, wearing a security uniform. How had he recognized me at a glance? But since I was back, we were bound to meet. Celeste also walked over, wrapping her arm around Marcus's as if to stake her claim. Sister, when did you get back? You didn't even tell the family. While the word sister left her lips, her tone held no warmth, only wariness. Look at you, coming back and immediately taking out your anger on Marcus. He's the CEO of Ascendant now. Celeste deliberately raised her voice. Sister, life must have been tough for you out there, right? If you need money, just tell me. Why humble yourself by working as a security guard in a place like this and disgrace the Jiang family? Disdainful glances from around us kept sweeping over me. That's the real daughter who was kicked out of the house. How does she have the nerve to show her face here again? I heard she was arrogant and overbearing back then, and even tried to harm her stepsister, which is why the Jiang family threw her out. They didn't give her a single penny. True, when I was kicked out, that's how they slandered me to the public. To show her generosity, Celeste walked over, intending to take my hand. I quickly put my hands behind my back and said coldly, I don't like being touched by strangers. Celeste used the momentum to fall to the ground, appearing on the verge of tears. Sister, how can I be a stranger? I just want us sisters to have a good talk. Celeste, it's been 5 years, and you're still using the same old tricks. You haven't changed one bit. I looked at her mockingly. Marcus helped Celeste up, raising his voice. Luna, apologize to Celeste. Otherwise, you can forget about keeping this job. It was always like this. He always defended Celeste. No matter how I explained, it was always me, the arrogant and overbearing socialite, who was in the wrong. Never the fragile and kind Celeste. I couldn't be bothered to explain. And who are you to say? The security captain from nearby rushed over. Who gave you the nerve to mess with our ANDA personnel? Celeste. Marcus. If you two believe Luna, our head of security, isn't qualified, you can take it up directly with Leo. The entire hall fell silent. Celeste and Marcus's expressions turned grim. Celeste scrutinized me. Sister, you don't have to lie just to save face. Even if you're a security guard, I'd still acknowledge you as my sister. Luna, this is no place for your antics. Marcus sighed. Oh, who do you think you are? What does my job as a security guard have to do with you? I raised an eyebrow. No sooner had I spoken than Leo, the auction's host, emerged from backstage, a wide smile on his face. He walked directly up to me, his demeanor deferential. Luna, everything is arranged. Do you have anything you'd like to add? This scene caused the hall to fall silent for a few seconds. Then discussions erupted. Who is this woman, to command such respect from Leo? ANDA is a top-tier international security group. I hear even heads of state work with them during foreign visits. Only then did Leo turn his gaze to the others, his smile fading. Celeste, Marcus, and everyone else. Allow me to introduce Luna. She is our highly valued head of security at ANDA. While you're here, you'll abide by Luna's rules. Otherwise, don't blame me for being unwelcoming. Having said his piece, Leo turned and left, completely disregarding Celeste and Marcus's ashen faces. The auction proceeded with fervent bidding. Suddenly, the auctioneer announced loudly, "Ladies and gentlemen, this set of charity auction items has been personally donated by Luna from Anda." The moment the items were revealed, the hall fell uncharacteristically silent, because these items were truly shabby: a ring set with tiny diamonds, a tarnished butterfly bracelet, and a dull pearl necklace. What is this? Are they seriously passing off flea market junk? Are you kidding? How can they have the nerve to auction off this trash? It's dragging down the whole event. Whispers and murmurs rose and fell. I calmly looked at the ring. It was the first gift Marcus had ever given me, bought with money he saved from working several part-time jobs. He'd said he couldn't afford anything more expensive, but promised that once he was rich, he'd buy me a diamond ring as big as a pigeon's egg and propose. Instead, what I got was him turning around and proposing to Celeste with a diamond ring. I had once treasured these gifts, just as I had once considered them my most important family. The auctioneer, with slight embarrassment, quoted, "Miss states that as a security professional, these are the most valuable items she currently possesses. The pearl necklace was a gift from Miss Sophia, the butterfly bracelet from Miss, and the ring from Mr. Marcus. She is auctioning them today to contribute to charity. The starting bid for these items is $1. The entire hall fell into a stunned silence, followed by an explosion of laughter. The billionaire's wife and socialite daughter gifting their family these cheap trinkets? That's hilarious. Absolutely no sincerity. Only that ring is worth anything. And I hear Marcus was Luna's fiancé. TSK. Ended up with her stepsister. Luna was just a young girl when she was kicked out. The prestigious billionaire's daughter reduced to being a security guard. How pathetic." The chatter grew louder. Celeste's face was ashen, while Marcus stared intently at the ring without a word. I had stumbled upon these trinkets by chance, originally intending to throw them away as trash. Then I thought, why not bring them out and let them serve one last purpose? Amidst the ridicule, a voice rang out, "I'll bid 10,000, just to show Luna some support." It was a well-known playboy heir from the city. $10,000 for a pile of junk. It was less about showing me respect and more about humiliating Celeste and her mother. Just as I thought there would be no more bids, Marcus raised his paddle. "I bid $1 million. $1 million for a pile of junk." Marcus was trying to preserve the Jiang family's dignity. Nevertheless, my goal was achieved. After the auction, as I prepared to leave, Marcus followed me again. "Luna, let's talk. There's nothing to discuss between us." I walked around him. "These past 5 years, I've actually been looking for you." His voice was tinged with weariness. "Luna, you've changed so much?" I looked at him as if he were a stranger. Yes, if I hadn't changed, I would have been devoured until nothing but bones remained. "Marcus, did you look for me to be your bridesmaid, so that I, with nothing to my name, could witness your happiness?" Marcus shook his head, his eyes filled with pain. "Luna, no, I didn't marry Luna. I couldn't forget. At my father's funeral, I wore mourning clothes, crying heartbrokenly, and he, the man my father had adopted and supported with everything he had since childhood, my fiancé, knelt before my stepsister Celeste, in front of all the guests, holding out the ring, his eyes full of affection. "Celeste, your father asked me to take care of you for the rest of your life, to put his mind at ease. Marry me." In that moment, my world crumbled. I rushed forward, but my stepmother's prearranged people held me back tightly. My stepmother's words exploded in my ears. "Luna, your father said on his deathbed that the successor to the Jiang family cannot be an evil, rebellious daughter like you. He considers you no longer his daughter. Celeste is the successor he chose. Your father's will states that all his assets are left to Celeste." I was thrown out of my own home like a piece of trash. "Oh, and I should congratulate you, Marcus, on getting what you wished for, success in both love and career." Without waiting for his response, I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard his indistinct explanations, but I didn't listen, nor did I look back. Having just gotten rid of Marcus, Celeste appeared out of nowhere. She looked at me with utter disdain. "Luna, you really have some nerve, bringing out a pile of junk to make a fool of yourself. If you don't have money, don't pretend to be charitable," she scoffed. "You're just a small security guard now. I advise you to behave, or you won't even know what hit you." I sneered. "A security guard? Very good. Let them see how this security guard, will take back everything that belongs to me, piece by piece." I returned to a penthouse apartment in Viridian City's historic district. Barefoot, I practiced boxing in the living room, each punch fueled by hatred. 5 years ago, I was powerless. 5 years later, I could shatter a person's jaw with one punch. These past 5 years, in the underground fighting rings of Southeast, I transformed from a helpless lamb to a queen risen from hell. What sustained me was my hatred for them. Just as I was thoroughly drenched in sweat, the doorbell rang. It was Marcus. He had followed me. I didn't invite him in, simply leaning against the doorframe. "Is there something you need?" He surveyed the room, his brow deeply furrowed. "You live in a place like this? What's it to you?" "Luna, you don't have to degrade yourself like this," he said, handing me a card. "Here's 10 million. Leave city. The way you are now, you can't fight them." His condescending expression was truly laughable. He was clearly afraid I'd come back to cause trouble for Celeste and was eager to buy me off. "Marcus, do you think you're still qualified to buy me off with money now?" I threw the card back at him, preparing to close the door, but he held the door firmly, his emotions somewhat out of control. "What exactly do you want to do by coming back? Do you really think you can fight Celeste and the entire Ascendant by yourself? Don't be naive." "I don't want anything." I looked at him, my smile icy. "Go back and tell those two, Luna, will personally take back what's mine." Just then, my phone rang. "Luna, we've secured the transport line for Ascendant's Diamond Rough in South." "But," my assistant said on the other end. We opened one of the crates, and there weren't any diamonds inside, just a pile of moissanite. "This shipment is problematic." "Understood. You did well." I hung up the phone. Marcus was still standing by the door. "Marcus, a word of advice, go back quickly. A huge problem for the Jiang family is waiting for you to solve." Marcus took a call, his face turning pale. He stared intently at me, his gaze filled with suspicion and inquiry. "Luna, it shouldn't be like this between us." He hesitated, then after a few seconds, spoke. "I'll come see you again next time." The door closed, and the corners of my mouth couldn't help but turn up. That shipment in South was Celeste's largest overseas investment since she took office. A multi-billion-dollar venture. If anything went wrong, Ascendant would suffer a severe blow, and her position as CEO would be unstable. My original plan was merely to intercept the transport line, to send a clear warning. Who would have thought the shipment itself was a scam? Was too foolish? Or was there another hidden agenda? I dialed my assistant's number. "Investigate. Thoroughly investigate everyone involved in this line, whether it was a trap or not." For me, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The next day, 2 headlines exploded across Viridian City's financial pages. #Ascendant Group multi-billion diamond rough robbed and #suspected of transnational fraud I sat in a roadside diner, eating noodles and enjoying Celeste's haggard face on the news conference. Even the noodles in my bowl tasted a bit better. "Are you that gleeful?" Marcus appeared behind me. "I don't know when." I ignored him. He bid out. "Luna, was it you? Did you arrange for that shipment to be hijacked?" "What do you think?" I countered. He expertly added a splash of hot sauce to my noodles. "Luna, Celeste put a lot of effort into this shipment. Can't you let her go? If this shipment fails, the Jiang family's foundation will be shaken, and you wouldn't want to see your father's life's work destroyed." I put down my chopsticks. Marcus was still as good to Celeste as ever. He was even humbling himself to beg me for her sake. "Marcus, you're begging the wrong person, believe it or not. I didn't swap those goods. My father's company has been turned into a mess by you all, and I'll settle this score with you slowly. This is just the beginning." I tossed a few bills onto the table and turned to leave. "Wait!" He chased after me, grabbing my arm. "About what happened back then. Listen to me. It's not what you think." I stopped. His voice was urgent and conflicted. "I found something amiss with your father's will." "What do you mean?" I turned back. He seemed to have made up his mind, lowering his voice. "Luna, that will might be problematic. I've found many discrepancies in Ascendant's accounts, and I suspect Sophia concealed something back then." This news confirmed some thoughts I'd had. I stared at Marcus, trying to discern the truth in his words. He quickly pulled out his phone, opened a photo, and handed it to me. "Look. I secretly took this. It's in your stepmother's safe, and it has your father's signature on it." The photo was blurry, but I recognized my father's handwriting at a glance. The immense amount of information made me lose focus for a moment. Just then, a black van screeched to a halt beside us. Several burly men carrying metal pipes jumped out and surrounded me. The scar-faced leader respectfully looked at Marcus. Marcus! I glared at Marcus. You sold me out? The scar-faced leader lowered his head, his voice devoid of emotion. Miss, Marcus is doing this for your own good. Please come with us. For my own good? My laugh sounded particularly harsh. For my own good. You send people to kidnap me? Marcus stepped forward, his voice pleading. Luna, let me explain. The situation is complicated now. Your stepmother and her people are after you, and I'm afraid something will happen to you. So, your way of protecting me is to arrest me like a criminal? My voice was icy. 5 years ago, he watched helplessly as I was kicked out of my home. 5 years later, he was using this ridiculous method to claim he wanted to protect me. Marcus, do you think I'm still the Luna who couldn't do anything 5 years ago? No sooner had I spoken than I punched the 6'3" brute behind me, knocking him to the ground. The entire process took less than 3 seconds. The remaining men were stunned. I flexed my wrist and looked at Marcus. Want to continue? Marcus motioned for the scar-faced man to leave. Only and I remained. He looked at me as if I were a stranger. Luna, what exactly have you been through these past 5 years? You don't have the right to know. I picked up his phone from the ground. The photo was still displayed. I tossed the phone back to him. I'll investigate the contents of that photo myself. You can't fight them. He grew agitated. Sophia has been running the Jiang family for over a decade. Her roots run deep. Celeste now holds great power. You, alone. Who told you I'm alone? I cut him off. Marcus, stop with your condescending attempts to protect me. It disgusts me. I just want to help you. Help me? I scoffed. Where were you 5 years ago, when I needed your protection the most? You were at my father's funeral, proposing to Celeste and holding her in your arms. His face instantly turned ashen. I pushed him away and turned to leave. Luna, he called after me. That will is fake. I paused, but didn't look back. Fake or not, the truth or falsity no longer mattered to me. What I wanted was to take back everything. The next time I saw my stepmother, Sophia, she was at the club, flanked by 2 men. When she recognized me, all color drained from her face. I sent the 2 male models out, leaving only the 2 of us in the room. She began to panic. You stray dog, kicked out of the Jiang family. Who gave you the guts to barge in here? Security! Where's security? Stop shouting. I rotated my phone. You can scream your throat raw, and no one will come in. I've prepared a grand gift for you. Want to see it? With that, I opened my phone. There were videos of Sophia at the casino, from ecstatic to dejected, and videos of her borrowing from loan sharks to try and recoup her losses, as well as videos of her with different men in hotels. Sophia trembled all over, pointing at me, her lips quivering, unable to speak. You, surprised? I smiled. You thought you covered your tracks perfectly? I have records of your every trip abroad, every illicit transfer of funds. Did you really think the money Celeste gave you was enough for such extravagance? Sophia, you're trying to use Ascendant to pay off your gambling debts, aren't you? That batch of diamonds turning into moissanite. That was your doing too, wasn't it? Her voice was hoarse. What do you want? I don't want anything. I stood up, looking down at her. I'm just here to tell you that the game has begun. At the doorway, I paused. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I've sent backups of these videos to all the media in Viridian City, and to your socialite friends. Have fun. The moment the door closed, I heard her desperate scream. This was just the first step. Sophia's scandal exploded in Viridian City's elite social circles. Hashtag Viridian City former billionaire widow gambles debts. Hashtag female billionaire mama's chaotic personal life. Hashtag trending topics one after another nailed Sophia to the pillar of shame. Hounded by casinos and loan sharks, and scorned by elite social circles, she fell from grace overnight. Celeste quickly reacted. She held a press conference, tearfully stating that her mother had been lured astray by bad influences, deeply regretted her actions, and was now suffering a mental breakdown. She would take on all debts herself and send her mother abroad for treatment. Her words were flawless, preserving her reputation as a dutiful daughter while simultaneously cutting ties with Sophia. Then, she turned her gun on me. Overnight, countless press releases flooded the internet. The headlines were all similar. Hashtag former socialite falls to black boxer queen. Vicious revenge? Hashtag exposing Luna's 5 years violence. Blood. The secret behind the billionaire daughter's exile. Hashtag in the articles. I became a heartless, inherently evil person, whom even my own father couldn't tolerate, disowning me in his will on his deathbed. She released photos of me fighting in the cage, covered in scars, with a fierce look in my eyes. Public opinion reversed instantly. The internet was flooded with insults directed at me. I looked at the offensive comments, my expression calm. They want to play a media battle? I'll play with them. 3 days later, I held a press conference in Viridian City. I edited my past boxing journey into a video, showing my transformation from being beaten and covered in injuries to becoming the queen of the cage, and then joining Anda. I used the video to witness my metamorphosis. I stood at the podium, smiling at the reporters. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were thrown into a foreign country, penniless, unable to speak the language, and utterly alone, how would you survive? The entire hall fell silent. I fought not out of bloodlust or degradation, but because I had no choice. I just wanted to survive. Our family ancestors, starting from nothing, became Viridian City's billionaires, relying on an unyielding belief. I looked at the audience, enunciating each word. It's been 5 years, and I've climbed back from hell to stand here, to reclaim everything that rightfully belongs to me, and my dignity as a daughter of the Jiang family. What I endured over these 5 years couldn't be shown in a 15-minute video. When they threw me onto the streets of a foreign country, if a kind soul hadn't led me to the cage, I probably wouldn't be alive today. After the press conference, the internet exploded. Public opinion began to shift in my favor. Winning the media battle was just an appetizer. Celeste's true weakness was ascendant. That shipment of fake diamonds in South had severely damaged her credibility on the board. Several major shareholders were already expressing their displeasure with her. This was exactly the outcome I wanted. I had an appointment with someone, Alex, a well-known playboy heir in Viridian City, and the one who supported me at the auction. His family was in real estate, making them competitors with the Jiang family. At securities training ground, he watched my subordinates' combat training with interest. Luna, your place here is much more exciting than those clubs. What do you need me for? Surely you don't want to hire me as a security guard? He teased. I'm inviting you to watch a grand show. I got straight to the point. Ascendant is currently a shell, strong on the outside but weak within. To fill the void left by the South incident, Celeste diverted a large amount of the company's liquid funds, and now the capital chain is extremely tight. If we work together and win over a few minor shareholders, I have an 80% chance of kicking Celeste out. Alex stared at me, the smile fading from his face. Why should I help you, Alex? You wouldn't be helping me. You'd be helping yourself. If group collapses, your Alex family will get a bigger slice of Viridian City's real estate business. Besides, haven't you always disliked Celeste and Marcus? This is a great opportunity. This is a huge gamble. Alex licked his lips, his eyes gleaming with astonishing brightness. What if we lose? I won't lose. My tone left no room for doubt. Due to the negative public impact caused by Sophia and Celeste, Ascendant's stock price began to fluctuate slightly, but it didn't trigger their alarm. Celeste and Marcus were still scrambling with public relations, hoping to reverse the decline. But a week later, Ascendant's stock price hit its daily limit down for 3 consecutive days. Only then did Celeste realize someone was maliciously short-selling Ascendant. They used their remaining funds to defend the stock, trying to stabilize the price. But their limited money was merely a drop in the ocean. As the stock price plummeted, the board erupted in chaos, with shareholders blaming Celeste's failed investment and Sophia's conduct. Just as Celeste was overwhelmed, I sent her a grand gift. I first contacted David, a veteran of Ascendant. Upon seeing me, David's voice choked. Miss, you're finally back. Your father's company is almost ruined by that mother and daughter. Seeing my silence, David sighed heavily again. That young girl Celeste knows nothing about management. These past few years, Marcus has been propping her up, or the company would have gone bankrupt long ago. That Africa diamond shipment? She was too eager for quick success and stumbled badly. I pushed a document in front of him. David, this wasn't just a stumble. It was a scam. The evidence in the document showed that the diamonds Celeste procured were fake from the beginning. The transnational supplier was merely a shell company, and the multi-billion-dollar procurement funds ultimately flowed into Sophia's overseas private account. This was embezzlement. David finished reading, trembling with rage. Outrageous! How dare they? David quickly calmed down. Miss, what do you intend to do? I said, word by word. I need you to contact the other shareholders and call an emergency general meeting to remove Celeste from the CEO position. David's eyes lit up. Good. I'll contact the other shareholders right away. Over the past few years, everyone has been dissatisfied with Celeste and her mother. 3 days later, in Ascendant's boardroom, Celeste sat at the head of the table, her eyes dark-rimmed. Sophia sat beside her, elegantly dressed but unable to hide her exhaustion. Marcus's expression was complex. David was the first to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, the diamonds turned out to be mere stones, resulting in a loss of hundreds of millions for the company. This money ultimately went into director's account. The room instantly erupted. All the shareholders' faces showed undisguised shock and anger. Celeste's gaze was somewhat evasive. Sophia immediately stood up and sternly rebuked David. That's slander. What evidence do you have to prove these claims? I pushed the door open and walked in. I smiled, looking at Celeste and Sophia. Sophia glared at me furiously. What right do you have to be here? Security! Security! Someone get her out! But her only response was the silence in the room. I sneered. Save your breath. Anda has already taken over the company's security operations. I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on them. I projected detailed evidence onto the big screen. The flow of every single fund pointed directly to Sophia's overseas account. The evidence was undeniable. Sophia. Celeste. I looked at them, my voice cold. Embezzlement of company assets, totaling billions. You too, prepare to spend the rest of your lives in prison. Sophia almost collapsed. Celeste, however, completely broke down. No, it wasn't me. My mom made me do it. She pointed at Sophia, frantically shifting blame. I didn't know anything. Sophia never expected her most beloved daughter to turn on her at such a critical moment. She was so angry her lips turned purple. You unfilial daughter. For their own interests, their so-called mother-daughter bond was utterly fragile. The shareholders shook their heads repeatedly. I thought Marcus would step forward to contend, but he cast an affirmative vote, and I successfully took over the company. After the meeting, Marcus stopped me in the parking lot. He looked very haggard. Luna, congratulations on getting your father's company back. I looked at him, non-committal. Is that photo real? I asked. He nodded emphatically. Absolutely true. I suspect your father's death is also connected to them. He handed me a USB drive. These are the pieces of evidence I've secretly collected over the years, and the abnormal account transactions within the company. Perhaps they can help you. I took the USB drive, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. Why are you helping me? He gave a bitter smile. Consider it atonement. Watching his forlorn figure, I tightened my grip on the USB drive. Sophia tried to flee, but my people intercepted her. I sent her to the cage. When she saw the rusty iron cage and smelled the blood and sweat, she screamed in terror. Luna, no matter what, I'm still your nominal mother. What are you trying to do? You can't kill me. Murder is illegal. I coldly watched her, helpless and panicked. Kill you? That would be too easy. You threw me out of the country with no ID or passport. I had no choice but to come here, to find a sliver of hope. Today, I'll let you enjoy the same experience. Sophia shook her head wildly. No, don't. I, too, once curled up despairingly in a corner like her, listening to screams around me, praying I wouldn't be next to survive. I scratched my face and smeared dirt on it. At first, I was just a punching bag, relying on my agility to dodge, but still ending up brutally beaten. What kept me going was my overwhelming hatred for them. With a reckless fighting style, I survived the arena and gained the attention of its boss, who then put me in charge of his legitimate and illicit businesses. I arranged for Sophia to go through this process, but without dying. 3 days later, my assistant sent me a video. In the video, Sophia's hair was disheveled, her body covered in mud and scars. She was carried out of the arena, barely alive. To avoid starvation, she had to snatch half a piece of bread from someone else's hand. No longer resembling the elegant socialite she once was, she couldn't take it anymore, crying and screaming that she had an important secret to tell me, only begging for her life. I saw her again, through the iron cage. She lunged at me like a madwoman, her hands gripping the bars tightly. I'll tell you everything. Where is your father's real will? She knelt on the ground, pleading. I hid the will. If you let me go, I'll tell you where it is. I looked at her coldly. You are in no position to bargain with me. Choose to speak, or choose to stay here. She completely broke down and finally told me where the real will was hidden. I escorted Sophia back to the Jiang family's old mansion. In a secret compartment in my father's study, I found the will. It clearly stated, all of his estate was to be inherited by me. As for Sophia and Celeste, my father only left them a house and 50 million in living expenses, to be paid monthly by a trust company. The condition was that they could never harm me, otherwise, they would lose everything. At the end of the will, there was also a video from my father. In the video, my father looked frail, but his eyes were still gentle. Luna, I'm sorry. I thought finding you a stepmother and a sister would keep you company and prevent you from feeling lonely. I never imagined Sophia was so manipulative. I was deceived by her. I'm leaving the company to you, and I hope you won't let hatred blind you, and I hope you and Marcus live happily ever after. Seeing this, my tears finally fell. It turned out my father had never given up on me. He had always protected me in his own way, and not only forged the will but also spread rumors and slandered me, throwing me into the cage to be a human punching bag. I put the document away, wiped my tears, and returned to the home I had left 5 years ago. Celeste was leisurely sipping afternoon tea in the living room. Seeing me, she was so startled that she knocked over her teacup. How did you get back? I threw the real will onto her face. Get out. After reading the will, her face turned pale, and she knelt, clutching my legs and crying. Sister, I don't know. My mom did all of it. I truly didn't mean to harm you. Please forgive me this one time. Forgive you? I kicked her away. You say you didn't harm me? You constantly undermined me, fought with me over Dad, fought with me over Marcus, and snatched everything that belonged to me. Now you're pretending to be innocent? How many punches did I endure? How much suffering did I go through in the past 5 years? What right do you have to ask for my forgiveness? I called my subordinates and had her thrown out of the Ascendant family estate. As for Sophia, I handed over all the evidence of her forging the will, attempting to murder me, and conspiring with outsiders to drain the company's assets, to the police. Sophia's trial began. I sat in the public gallery, watching Sophia being led into the courtroom in a prison uniform. In just a few days, she seemed to have aged 20 years. Her hair was streaked with gray, her face gaunt, and all traces of her former elegance and nobility were gone. When the judge read out her charges, she completely broke down and threw a tantrum, screaming about injustice in court. But in the face of undeniable evidence, everything she did seemed utterly ridiculous. Ultimately, Sophia was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to life imprisonment. The moment the verdict was announced, she collapsed to the floor, like a limp rag doll. Outside the courtroom, Marcus was waiting for me. He looked even more haggard than Sophia. Luna, he called out to me. It's all over, I said quietly. Yes, it's all over, he murmured to himself. An indescribable sorrow shadowed his face. I'm sorry, he said abruptly. Those 3 words, you should say to my dad. I walked past him. Luna, he grabbed my wrist. I know I have no right to ask for your forgiveness, but for the past 5 years, not a day has gone by when I haven't regretted it. Regretting my cowardice back then. Regretting that I didn't protect you. I thought that if I just reached a high position, I could take the Ascendant back from them and return it to you. I thought. Your assumptions were just that, assumptions. I cut him off. Marcus, you weren't cowardly. You were selfish. You enjoyed the power and status they gave you while trying to play the role of a devoted lover in front of me. The world doesn't work that way. I pulled my hand away from his. From the moment you knelt before Celeste at my father's funeral, it was truly over between us. He looked at me, his eyes bloodshot, but couldn't utter a single word in rebuttal, because every word I spoke was the truth. All his remorse was based on my powerful return. If I were still struggling in the cage, would he have even given me a second glance? The answer was self-evident. I ignored him and walked straight away. My life could no longer be entangled with these toxic individuals and their drama. After I took over the Ascendant, I initiated sweeping reforms. I eliminated redundant staff and introduced new technologies and management teams. With financial and resource support from ANDA, the Ascendant, on the brink of bankruptcy, soon made a spectacular recovery and began to expand at an unprecedented pace. In less than half a year, the Ascendant's market value tripled. I became Viridian City's most sought-after business magnate. My name alone became a golden brand. Celeste, however, had no direct evidence linking her to my framing, so she didn't end up in prison. She was merely kicked out of the Ascendant family estate and quickly squandered all her money. She went from being a high-ranking socialite to having nothing. She wanted to find work but was unwilling to put in the effort. She tried to find Marcus, but he was nowhere to be found. Eventually, she was forced to go to bars, descending into a life of exchanging her body for money. Before he left me $5 million along with a letter. Luna, I'm sorry. I know there's nothing I can say now that will change anything. This money is what I've saved over the years and the only compensation I can offer you. You were always the one I loved, but you were a powerful heiress, the daughter of a magnate. While I was just a poor boy, I always felt inferior around you. It was only with Celeste that I felt needed. But later, I realized that wasn't love. Not a day passed in those 5 years that I didn't regret my actions. Seeing you reclaim everything makes me happy. Perhaps disappearing from your life is the last thing I can do for you. I tore the letter to shreds. There was no longer a ripple in my heart. 5 years of hatred, 5 years of endurance, all finally settled at this moment. Everyone who had deceived me, betrayed me, and humiliated me had met their deserved fate. I felt no thrill of revenge. Only an emptiness remained in my heart. From now on, the wealthiest woman in Viridian City was I, Luna, the new helmswoman of the Ascendant. I was no longer the queen of the cage, but a true queen of the business world. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.